Okay, tip number one is when you, something flew in my eye. When you, when you get a confirmation email, make sure and check it because we did, and we noticed that we had made reservation at Georgia State Park, which was, well, they were expecting us today, and we're not planning on being there for another
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. So we had to get that changed. So tip number one, make sure you always double check your email confirmations, especially at Georgia State Parks, because that's where we had our little issue. But they did change it. They waived the fees and everything else. But anyway, that's our tip number one.
All right, I have a great travel tip for you guys out there. You need to pick up one of these motor carriers, Road Atlas, because it's for semis and big vehicles. And you know, it gives you all the different clearances so you can go through without having to worry about your height restrictions. And it's great to look through it, pick your route before you take off for your next destination. And I think it was like $35 or $40 on Amazon, but it's been great so far. We came through some areas in Tallahassee, and there were some low bridges, and we were able to get through there and avoid them. So it's just a great thing to have, because if a semi can get through there, you can get through there.
Okay, tip number three. If you're walking in the woods and hiking and whatnot, always remember to check for ticks, okay? Because, well, you need to check for ticks, and you need to know how to remove them. Don't just pull them out. You need to check online or check with a doctor or nurse or whatever how to remove. Ooh, I itch just thinking about it. Anyway, check for ticks. Tip number three.
Good?
Yep.
All right, I have a tip for you. We just figured this out by driving back through country roads. As I was driving, I was looking alongside the road, and I said, what would happen if I had an emergency, like a flat tire or an engine problem or something like that? And I noticed I had no place to pull off. I said if I pulled off, we would have been down 8 feet down in the ditch. So when you're figuring out your roads, your travel, always figure out a road that the truckers use, because there's usually a side area for you to pull off and fix your vehicle, whatever you have to do.
One thing we've noticed the most is camping is that people mess up their awnings. Most of the time because they forget it's there and they try to drive away and hit a tree. It just happened today, actually. And other people have told us the same thing. Their awning, they had it out, and then a sudden storm came and they weren't there because they had gone somewhere else. So we have gotten in the habit of putting our awning in when we go in the evening and also when we leave. So the only time we have our awning out is when we're using it. Otherwise, it's always in. And that's a great tip. Another great tip is that when you are at a campsite, pick up everything. Even if it isn't your trash, if you see any trash around, pick it up and try to make the campsite look better than when you got it. And that is a good tip. A good tip is don't feed the animals. In Manatee, we had like a gang of squirrels that came after us, 7 at a time. They weren't afraid of us, so somebody had obviously been feeding them, and so that's a good tip. Don't feed the animals. It just makes them much more aggressive. But you know, we're there to enjoy them, but not to feed them. That's a good tip. My favorite tips is use a different road instead of the regular highways. For instance, when we went to Manatee, we took US 1 the whole way. It was beautiful. And or we took A1A and then US 1. months. So any opportunity you get, especially in Florida, to do A1A or US1, I would take it because you get to see a lot of pretty things that you don't get to see when you drive I-95. All right, and that's a good tip.
So today I was checking the air and the tires because tomorrow, the next day, we're going to be back on the road again, and got to look for a little bit of wear and tear on the front tires, and you know, they're just getting a little worn. So I want to go ahead and do the rotation before they get out of shape too bad, and then we have problems on the road. That's my tip for today.
What are you doing?
I'm collecting fire starters.
What for?
Tonight when I have the campfire going. Pine cones are great, man. They go quick.
For what? For the fire?
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, you put them down at the bottom. Boy, get a little flame to them. They just go right up and kick that flame up real quick.
You mind if I share that as a tip?
I think it's a good one.
All right, I will.
And you know, to get rid of the pine cones that are laying around. Plus you can, you know, start a fire without the hassle of having to put some fluids or anything on it.
Good idea. You're so smart.
Yeah, gotta come up with stuff.